Welcome to That One Time with Adam Metwally, the podcast bridging the gap between health, hustle, and happiness. We are at Podcast for a While in Chelsea, New York City with Mosaic artist Kevin Champeny, and we're going to get to know him over the next 10 minutes ahead of the full episode later on this week. Who are you? What are you best known for? And for somebody who doesn't know you, why should they listen today?
My name is Kevin Champeny, and I am a mosaic artist from New York. And I've sort of taken the idea of mosaics and elevated them and changed them and sort of modernized it in a way that I've never actually seen before.
Yeah, I've never seen it before either.
It's weird to still think that there is stuff that can just be done, you know, that people haven't figured out or haven't done yet. And it's kind of nice to be sitting in that sort of space of sort of innovation and challenge and all of that.
Yeah, and it seems like you've been doing quite well on social media, so it's resonating with people, like hundreds of millions of views across a lot of the work that you do. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, piques some interest.
Yeah, no, social media is fascinating. I mean, because I'm basically shoehorning art onto platforms that weren't designed for it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's been nice to be able to do something so interactive that people have sort of, you know, been able to connect with and see and share.
Yeah, great. So I want to play a game with you. Best, worst, and weirdest in your experiences as an artist.
I think the best experience as an artist is being able to do this full time. I mean, that's been something that, you know, growing up, I was told I'd never be allowed to do. Because I grew up in the Midwest, I grew up in southern Wisconsin, and they said, you'll never do art as a career. That just isn't an option. And so that's the best thing to be able to look back at all those people and, well, I'm doing it, you know. And
was there anything specific that has been a really crazy moment for you?
I think the iCarly's Chandelier was sort of the first taste that I had, that something that I could design would be taken so well. And that was just by accident. It was just something that I built, and a friend of mine had a store in Tribeca and asked if he could put the chandelier up, and lo and behold, the producer walks in from the iCarly show and says, I want this on the show. And I'm like, okay. And yeah, that whole trip was crazy, you know, figuring out how to ship these things and then being flown to Hollywood to sort of install this, and then basically walking back out 3 hours later and getting in a car and on a plane and back home the same day. It was pretty crazy. And so that was my first sort of taste at sort of, wow, this could be something.
Yeah. And what would you say your worst has been?
It's actually nearby here. I had just this awful experience installing a piece, and it was something that was planned for. It was something that was tried, sampled everything. And once we got to the whole situation or the event and actually installing it, it was installed incorrectly. And so it was just an awful experience having to deal with different contractors and everything to make sure that it was done right, because this was my work that they were about to destroy. Yes. And I had flashbacks coming here. I mean, I really did. I mean, walking up the highlight, you're like, oh, you know, I remember this. And just sort of taking a deep breath.
Yep. Panicking.
Everything was okay, and it all worked out. But yeah, it was by far the worst experience I've ever had.
Damn. And what about your weirdest?
I think the weirdest is when Drake instant messaged me on Instagram. It was just so absurd. I'm just scrolling through and ding, champagne poppy. I'm like, no. Nope. And so I just screenshot it, shot it to my people, and I was like, this can't be real. And so I basically, the minute I got the message, sent it straight to my team just to make sure that this wasn't, like a joke or anything. And yeah, that was wild.
So what happened?
He saw two of the pieces that I built, the first Defiance piece, and that's one that most people, if they have seen me online, they know me about. It's the large portrait of Donald Trump done in middle fingers. And it's part of a whole Defiance series. And so the first set was actually Trump and Hillary. And I put them in a glass truck and drove them around Manhattan for a week with their speeches going back and forth every 3 or 4 seconds.
Hilarious.
It was crazy. And so I had that set, and then I showed that set in a few spots, and there was a gallery in Manhattan that showed it, and then it sold. And then I did a piece called Healer. And so that was a portrait of Jesus Christ made out of prescription drugs. And so he saw both of those pieces, and he's like, I would like them. Are they available? And they had been sold. And I was like, well, I can redesign them. I can make, different versions of them, because every piece is always unique, no matter, even if they are the same, they're still very different. And so he asked for very much larger versions of them. So there's a 5x7 Jesus made out of 80,000 painkillers. And then the 7x9 foot Donald Trump. That's the one that keeps on going viral. That's the one that's actually in the gallery right now.
What's a purchase you've made that's improved your life 100 times more than it's cost?
It's a silly little thing. I thought it was a silly little thing. It's a glue pen. This thing is phenomenal. I can actually put any glue I want. It's fully pneumatic. And so this is air powered, and it has suction and all of this. And it's allowed me to refine my work to a level that I never thought I could, because everything was done by hand. I mean, I was literally taking little spatulas and gluing stuff on. And this, I've worn out the button twice on it. And if it ever breaks, I will have two more ready. And I actually have two of them. I have one at my main studio, one at my home studio. And so I have to have it now. It's changed my work completely.
Is it useful for a non-artist in any way, do you think?
I don't know. Maybe. I think it might have some crafting aspects to it, but there's maintenance on it.
Yeah, right.
So anything that requires maintenance is a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But if it's something, since I use it every day, it's just part of the routine. But if it's something that you just sort of set aside, it's like anything, like a 3D pen or any of those, they take maintenance, to keep them running and in good condition.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, fair. What's one daily practice you swear by, even if people think you're crazy for it, when it comes to your creativity?
I don't take breaks. I just lock in, and I will stop to eat, but that's only having been married for 25 years and having someone remind me, Kevin, you need to eat. Kevin, it's time for bed. And so having that ingrained in my head, but without that, it's I start and I stop when I either am too tired to continue, or now it's deadlines, I have to go pick someone up or I have to do something. So those are the hard, if not for that, I probably would just work until I passed out.
Interesting. So how do you know when you're too tired to work anymore?
It's efficiency.
Okay. Like what kind of drop? Like 40% drop when you're like,
yeah, it's when I'm making decisions about things that are so natural, because I when I'm working, I'm just in the zone. And when I have to start making decisions about putting stuff down, then it's like, okay, something's not working,
Yeah.
I lose that focus, very quickly.
Interesting. Okay. What's the best piece? I want to jump back into this later because this is really interesting, but moving on for the rapid fire, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received, and how did you apply it into your life?
I was in fifth grade.
Yeah.
And an artist came into the class and sort of said, this is what I do. And it was the first time that I'd ever seen an artist, like a real artist actually do it for a living. And he was older. And so he was probably in his 50s or 60s. And that was older to me as a child, And I was able to talk to him afterwards. And he said, you will never, because I showed him some of the work that I was doing. And he said, you'll never be great until you're in your 40s or 50s. There's a certain amount of life expectancy or life things that happen in your life that you have to have experience. And until,
just as an artist or across the board, do you think?
Just across, he said, just as a person. And it's until you get to that point, can you really create and create freely? So enjoy being young. And I've always taken that into account, knowing how arrogant I was as a child, and accepted that, knowing that, well, I'm going to be different. I'm going to get better. I'm going to mature in this, but being hyper aware of it as a kid and embracing it. So when people say, oh, wow, you're being immature, I'm 12. yes, of course I'm being immature. That's what 12-year-olds do. And so that has been, man, just having that idea and sort of working to that goal, knowing that what I'm doing is great, but it's going to get better. And it did. And once I really got into my late 30s and 40s, I was like, wow, this is what it means. Because I started doing really wild jobs that allowed me to use all these different skill sets that I had. And yeah, and then once I put it all into one, I was like, yeah, this is it.
Great.
Yeah.
And it took
a long time. Yeah. This was a long game. Yeah.
Yeah, very long game. Yeah. Nice. And well, I think we've answered this question, but I'll ask it again. Who is the most famous person's contact you have, and how did you get it? I think we know the answer to that one.
Well, yeah.
Unless it's someone more famous that you've dealt with.
No, that is it. I mean, but I have though, because of how things, I mean, Tyson, of course. I mean,
yeah, Mike. Who do you think's more famous out of Drake and Mike Tyson?
Man, I would say Tyson, honestly. It more broad range. My mother knows who Tyson is. She doesn't know who Drake is. She probably does, actually. Now that I think of it. Maybe my grandmother. Yeah. My grandma, she's 93, so she knows who Mike Tyson is, but probably doesn't know who
So Drake your grandma's not just like dancing to Drake tracks in the kitchen?
She might be.
She might be.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair. And what's the strangest compliment you've ever received?
You speak well for a deaf person?
You're not deaf anymore, right?
No.
That was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago, but there was a weird transition when I started letting people know that was my reality, because I hid it for so long. And so once people realize, they sort of get the head tilt and they're like, wow, you don't sound like a deaf person.
We can explore that more later, because there's a story behind that that's quite interesting. All right, last question for the rapid fire. It's not quite the rapid question, but it's a good one. What is the craziest story you've been a part of that makes you go, wait, what? That happened?
Yeah, I really do think it's the iCarly incident. That was so out of left field. And
is that a big show?
It was.
I know it in Australia, but I don't. I think I've watched it.
I didn't realize how big it was.
Right.
And so the show actually uses, I think, a half a dozen to a dozen pieces that I've built.
Oh wow!
Are on the set, and it's
not run anymore, is it? It's finished.
It's in you can find it online, and my kids watched it not too long ago, and it was so weird. It was when I realized what viral meant.
Yeah.
And then posting the time lapse of me building that, and then now to meet people who, like, you were a part of my childhood. It's a weird thing. Or to be that guy, and I've never been that guy. It's like, oh my God, you're that guy, the guy who built the chandelier. And so, and I've had a couple instances where people have sort of recognized me from that, which is so strange.
It's great. I love it. Well, thank you. I'll see you on the other side.
Absolutely.
Nice. All right.